Hi, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. 2 weeks ago, we were here, and now we're back.
2 weeks.
How's everybody? Hello, Gil.
Hello.
Hello, Isaac.
I am well.
Hello.
You're doing good?
Not too bad.
Okay.
I am 100%.
Wow.
Lies.
Pure lies. What happened to you?
Little
You,
accident.
you guys can't see it,
A little accident,
but he
but I'm all right.
Severed
Yeah.
his leg.
he severed his-
I don't want to incriminate myself just in case anybody's listening.
Oh, yeah. That's correct. Steph, how are you?
I'm good.
How you doing?
Good.
Splendid.
Excellent. And off camera, we have
Wow.
two of our
We have special guests.
special guests / future team members.
Oh, wow. I
They're
don't know. We haven't approved it yet. But
they're not on camera. Yeah, we're
we're
in the
still
process.
deciding, yeah. We're looking over the resume.
So say hello. Rosie.
Hello.
Hello, Rosie. Say your full name and social security. I'm just kidding. don't say your social security. Don't do that. Just messing with
that
that.
was Rosie.
And
Hi.
hello, Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Cindy.
Cindy.
Cindy or Cynthia?
Cindy's better.
Cindy.
Hi.
Cindy, how are you? Thank you guys for being here. So a lot of things are happening in the world. Haiti was hit with a hold on.
8 point
Oh,
something.
7 something.
7.2
Yeah.
earthquake.
Yeah.
And it is horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
I remember back, I think it was 10 years ago.
Yes.
No. Was it 10 years ago?
Somewhere,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere.
2010.
Yeah.
10 years ago, they suffered an earthquake.
Yeah.
And I remember on the news, Pat Robertson, you know who that is?
Yes.
700 Club,
Yes.
the
Is
preacher.
Is he still alive?
I think he is. He said, "Oh, God's judging them for all the witchcraft and all the evil things
I don't
they
know.
were doing," and he got a huge backlash. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's bold.
You can't
Yeah.
say that anymore.
No, yeah. Well, it's kind of like, do you really know? Like, that's what's
Do you
going
have
on?
proof of that?
Yeah, like, is that what it is?
You know, because I believe in prophecy, I do, but I like Wilkerson. Look what came out at the beginning of this COVID thing. That one makes you think
Yeah.
heavily.
And
Yeah.
that was like,
You see, but that
that was
one's
a long
not
time ago.
offensive.
No.
That's like the future. You know?
But would you say though? I mean, you read the Bible and Elijah's message to the kings was offensive.
yeah, but
Samuel's message was offensive to kings. Jeremiah's announcements were offensive because people were like, God's not going to do that to us. We're like the chosen people. And then they hated him, literally. They ended up killing him. I mean, just something to
I
think
just
about.
think it's different.
Do you?
I do.
How so?
That's like saying, hey, Isaac, what happened to you at work?
no comment.
You hurt your leg. You probably weren't doing your devotionals in the morning.
Probably you were not doing your devotionals. In the
Otherwise, the Lord would have been,
That's valid.
graceful.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I'm all for prophecy, and I'm all for, but
But we're not for judgment.
but I test every spirit,
I don't know, but I don't know if it's not judgment. I don't know. Has he been there? Has he gone to Haiti? I don't know. Does he know the culture there?
I don't know that. I have no idea if he has been there or not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, kind of bold, like you said. Just like just take a paintbrush.
Like, I mean,
over
we're off topic, but we have precedents in the Bible where
Mhm.
God judges nations by different things, and including but not limited to.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have something
Yeah.
like that, and I mean, what would have happened? What is Vegas?
Yeah, I understand.
but-
Something happens.
Well, a period. Like, what's the United States? Like, how is Haiti so much worse because of we're probably just as bad or
Exactly.
worse itself. Like,
Yeah.
so you live in actually a godly place, and then Haiti's.
I think I look at it this way: in a moment where people are probably living the most, terrifying time in their life, instead of edifying them and showing the grace of God, like you go that route. We're saying, oh, you this is happening because of this,
Mhm.
Now they're really not going to want.
Yeah,
to
instead
listen.
of bringing
What do
uplifting them.
you guys think? Steph.
Crickets.
Yeah, I just think that an opportunity you have to edify and like let people show the love and the grace of God, and you go that route where you're just condemning them. I don't know.
What are
Like,
those?
and don't get me wrong. Like
Baptist people called?
there's always a place for saying the truth, right? Like telling the truth. Like this happened because you did this, right? But and I think that only happens on a very personal level. Like when you have a word for someone, like if God tells you that. But like to speak to a masses.
Interesting though that when things like that happen, what do they call it? Natural disasters
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
things like that. Okay, all of a sudden, a bunch of prophecies come out after the fact saying that was judgment, like the Lord said it was coming, but you never announced it before then because He still gives you a time to repent, right?
Yeah.
Don't we see that in the Word? Like, hey guys, if you guys don't turn from your ways, then this is gonna happen, but the prophecy or the warning was before
That's interesting.
Yeah.
the judgment. And here, well, at least in the States or like televangelists like Pat Robertson or whatever, they usually always say it after the fact.
Yeah.
Then
True.
Would you say that even if you are given?
So it really is not a prophecy, which by the way, I never said it was. I'm just saying that
right.
he judged that as
Yeah.
That
God's
prophecy,
punishment,
yeah.
you know?
Do you think? Because I could say, hey, there's gonna be an earthquake, and I mean, chances are, yes, there is. You know,
Especially here in
don't you think there would be a lot more specific? Like,
This
is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen,
Yeah.
and then this will happen.
You have to say the day and the time and the place.
Do you? For it to be wholesome or what?
Well, you know,
I don't know, but I think it would be
We're
like
gonna have a
like
earthquake.
beyond a
We're never
doubt.
gonna have an earthquake.
No, I said we are.
Oh,
I think it would be beyond a doubt. Like, hey,
for sure.
like that was prophesied. Like, that was gonna happen, and it's very specific, not a broad general. Like,
yeah. I wonder how many prophecies in the past 100 years, let's say, have, I don't know if there's a like a record of this, but how many prophecies have been said that have come true, and if there's been specific ones. Like I've heard from when I can remember, as far as I can remember, I've heard, LA is gonna, it's gonna come down because of an earthquake God's gonna judge.
I still hear.
Which is, I mean, it's true. I mean, the elements are definitely there, but there's no specific day but then in the Bible, when you have the huge prophecies,
they were specific.
Yeah.
that's actually, I'm saying the opposite.
Really?
They were not very specific in the sense that for example, you have a process, you have God saying, I'm going to judge you guys, but He doesn't say how or when, but He's going to.
Yeah.
And then as it gets closer to us, because we're seeing the whole picture, as it gets closer, He starts giving a little more detail. Oh, it's going to be the Babylonians, for example. They're the ones who are going to, I'm going to use them to judge you. And then when they're like outside, they're like, yeah, that's them, so surrender. And they're like, no, why? So even Jesus, when He said His prophecies in Matthew 24, He said some specific things, but for example, like the day, the time, and all these things, like they were not said. Last days, but then there's going to be earthquakes and pestilence and diseases, but He didn't say when.
Yeah.
Exactly, but in the last days. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
But we've been hearing those prophecies of end of times for the longest. Like every 10 years is going to be the end of times.
Yeah.
At least I have. Like,
But every generation has it seems to have
like Y2K, I think was one.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I always look at these like end of time prophecies like with a grain of salt. Because I think...
Well, every year it's going to end.
Like, but I think as a Christian or as a church, I think we have bigger... Like, it's good to know what's going on, but we have bigger things to worry about, right? You have to worry about... I think the most important thing is that relationship we all have with God, right?
Yeah.
I think that's... If we take care of that...
Making disciples.
Make that the priority, I think everything else would take care of itself.
I think it is the priority and being able to be ready.
Yes.
Paul says when that day comes, and he's talking about being ready in the sense that you have that relationship and you have that commitment to
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, because if you worry about that stuff, then you prioritize that, right? You start looking.
Well, I think the evangelical world it's very obsessed with eschatology, with the end times, and who's going to be Antichrist, and who's going to do this, and who's going to do that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget the focus, the true thing that we should be focusing on is establishing God's kingdom now. And I think that's what happened in Acts chapter 1 when the disciples, they ask, are you going to establish the kingdom of Israel now? And Jesus is like, none of your business. Your business is to receive power and be a witness for as long as you need to be witnesses.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Right? And it's not bad to study,
Yeah, it's not.
the end times, but to be obsessed and trying to figure out.
Yeah.
It's really iffy. I was telling you guys last time I was preaching on Revelations.
It's just a recipe for.
Yeah, and then our theology or eschatology or the end times thing is so. It has been shaped by Tim LaHaye and his Left Behind books,
Yeah.
and that's become theology.
Yeah.
The rapture.
Yeah.
And the rapture and
We're staying, we're leaving.
yeah, all that stuff. It becomes a point of contention.
Yeah, but it becomes really severe, and I think a lot of people, because I've been hearing it over and over, and I've even heard, I mean, close people be like, oh, I know, like, the comment or we preach this, but I believe that we're going to be taken. It's like, wait a minute, like it's not just like, oh, we agree to disagree. This is like it's like fundamental. It's really important that we do come to a understanding of what this really means, contextual and history and biblical. Like you don't get to just like agree to disagree and choose to
and the thing is that what's behind that is the nuances of interpretation and language and all that stuff. And I think we have to be conscious of that. That one verse, and it's not that people do it on purpose. It's not like, oh, I want to believe this because I want to. It's because you have different interpretations of maybe a phrase, or like, for example, the be taken away and all of these things that point to a possible, rapture or whatever. So you have different interpretations of maybe certain words that from that flows a whole theology, and depending on what you believe, that's what you're gonna be,
advocate for.
Yeah, that's what. But anyways, that was totally off topic.
But a good conversation.
It was good. So the bottom line is, like, do we know who the Antichrist is? I mean, I've been hearing that it was Pope
Wasn't it Donald
John
Trump?
Paul II.
Obama?
I heard Obama.
Obama.
Oprah
and-
Winfrey. I heard Oprah
yeah.
Winfrey.
And the point is that in every generation, the church and those who love God, they are going to face opposition, a kind of antichrist, and it's going to intensify
Every generation
as it goes until we get apostasy, which is a total abandonment of the faith. Absolutely abandonment. That's not happening now. You have 2 or 3 people, maybe some of them famous, leaving the faith and saying, I'm reconstructing or doing whatever they're doing. But you don't have massive abandonment of the faith. And I think it's going to come to that point. I mean, the way I read it, and this is just my opinion, it's going to look like the church doesn't even exist. It's like it's totally irrelevant on the outside, on the surface. But obviously God is still doing work. Yeah. But it has to come to a point where the church is so irrelevant that the government can do whatever they want. Anybody can do, whatever they want.
Like the things that it says that need to happen beforehand.
Yeah.
We have to see them happen, correct?
Yeah.
Not jump to the end.
Yeah. And there's signs and there's things that Paul says, hey, you guys are not in the dark. You guys look at the signs. Yeah. And they'll let you know where you are in time. And I think it was Jesus the one who said, look at the fig tree and see it blossom. And a lot of comments talk about, hey, that was the fig tree is Israel, and the reblossoming of it is the establishment of the nation of Israel in 1940 something. I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Like that, yeah.
48, 45.
Yeah.
So they look at that and they're like, see, the end times are coming. And it might be true, but there are signs
Yeah.
and little things that you can look around and see and say, hey, it's pointing in that direction anyways. Like, you shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else is happening in the news?
Cuomo.
Oh, Cuomo.
Cuomo's gone.
Cuomo or Cuomo? What's his
Cuomo,
name?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Yeah.
He's gone.
So what's the story?
Boot him.
He resigned.
Why?
'Cause he's Italian. You know.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah. For Italian.
Not that we hate Italians, but that's what he said.
I like
He
Italians.
said Italian.
So he's been accused of
Sexual harassment
oh wow.
Misconduct.
or misconduct.
Yeah.
It's not harassment anymore.
I don't know. I thought it was just misconduct.
What's the difference?
Well, they're both misconduct, but
Yeah.
They're both the same, but they're just
more
different names.
specific.
Is it more specific? Oh.
Whatever sounds
How
nice.
many people have come out?
A couple. They had like
11.
11. No.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that was
He's got to go.
That was his defense that he was Italian.
What do you think the problem is, though? I mean, you have a lot of politicians doing this, and
I-
you have also, I mean, we've experienced in the church some of it too.
Yeah. I think it's just a position of power, right? I think when that same power corrupts, you know, like
Mhm.
when you're that high in public office or in a company or at a church, when you hold a lot of power, I think you kind of let it control you and see how, you know, I don't know how much you could get away with, but you let it corrupt you, right? Like it says. And I think that's probably the biggest part, and probably a lack of God, right, too.
Well, I think again and again, like all these like heinous people in history, whether it be politically or even in the church, it just again reestablishes the potential that man's heart, if it's not truly humbled like before the Lord, you know, before God, of what it's capable of. And to think of even, come on, politically, like that doesn't surprise me. But then when we say like, hey, and even in the church, it's happened, you know, like we have these apologists and, you know, and all this come out. It shouldn't really surprise us. It should just re-strengthen us. And you know what I mean? It should like remind us that, hey, this is what like man's heart is capable of, even to the point of corrupting God's work, you know?
It's the human element.
Yeah.
And do you think the church is in a better position to deal with it than the political world, or the same? I'm saying this because I might be wrong. What if I'm wrong? Whatever. But I'm saying this because, for example, you have people in the church that have done that, and the people outside point fingers and they demand that they repent or whatever. But then in the political world, they go around and round and round, and then they finally do it. So I'm just wondering if we as a church might be in a better position to deal with it. We're supposed to, right?
That's the hope.
I think it's more chaotic because it's the church. Whether we want to or not, there's a stereotype. And there is especially since the non-believer is quick to you know what I mean, to pay attention when this is going on, opposed to not when we're sharing the gospel necessarily, you know.
Dress says that with great power comes great responsibility, and she says, "Mamma mia." I guess because it's Italian.
Wow.
Isn't that a Spider-Man quote or something?
Yeah, and Mario.
Mario.
Yeah.
Mario.
Mamma mia. We're supposed to be better equipped,
Yeah, that's I would hope that we are.
right, to deal with that.
I hope we are. But I think it depends on the church, right?
Yeah.
So
So he quit. Now he has to deal with all that stuff. And I know there's I don't remember the name of the lady that's supposed to be taking over or running for office. Speaking of that too, you have anything, Steph?
Well, he's walking away with.
Yeah.
He had that book deal, $5 million, I believe. It
Yeah,
was.
during COVID, how he
How he handled COVID. Now my
Oh, that's a
question
real
is-
book?
yeah,
Are you serious?
He wrote it during COVID.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he handled COVID very well.
Well, it tells you a lot what he was
Well, look
doing.
So
Look at California. I mean,
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
What do you mean?
yeah. I don't know. My opinion again.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more concern with politics than the people.
Okay.
That's my.
Well, now we're back to masks and all these things, and we're not closing. I mean, we're not. I mean, I'm guessing they're dealing with it differently now. But it looks like it's going to that place again.
Well, Mike, recently I read
Yeah, they
something
have
about
super
a bunch of
vaccine, right?
kids being
What I see
affected.
what I see that they're pushing for now, the narrative on TV and on the news, is it's hey, there's a variant, go get vaccinated. I mean, that's the angle now.
Yeah,
And the people who are dying and stuff like that, they're making sure that people know
they're not vaccinated.
that they were not vaccinated.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's where it's going to. So he didn't handle. You guys don't think he handled good in New York?
it seemed like he killed a bunch of nursing home patients. So
Wow.
yeah, he would
Yeah.
send a bunch of sick people to those nursing homes with people that are probably at the most risk of catching COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest issues he had.
I think that COVID has been a defining moment, and people have been defined by their actions, by their hypocrisy.
Especially people in power, right?
That's what I'm. Well, yeah, I mean,
that's what you're talking
people in general, but I mean, I'm specifically saying people in power. And if you ask me, not only Como, but anybody who got caught up with nonsense of being hypocritical and now living by these. I mean, if you're the face and you're out there saying, "Hey, do this," and you get caught a week later doing the complete opposite. I'm sorry, but based on your actions, no, you're a person in power. You're a person that's expected to be different, to
do
lead
that.
by example. So therefore, Fauci, Newsom, all these people, I mean,
Pastors.
have a good day, you know?
Pastors too.
I mean, practice what you preach.
Hey, wasn't I read somewhere AOC also, like she was not wearing a mask or something
Yeah.
like that?
And then they kind of, another camera would be like, okay, put the mask on now for the picture.
What do you mean? AOC's on the news?
Yeah, she
What?
was on the news. She was
Incredible.
she posed for a picture, but they put on masks first.
By the way, my invitation still stands.
You're what?
My invitation still stands.
Oh, I don't think she's.
What do you mean? She could come here. I will welcome her.
She'll own you, bro.
Yeah, she won. She'll.
She'll own us.
Hey, that's good. I'll take it. I'll take the L.
Oh wow! I don't know. Who do you think handled this well in the nation? Who do you think? You guys can participate too.
Pastor Yater, CCFC.
No. I'm not a politician. But as far as politicians and governors and mayors, who do you think did handle this well?
I don't know. I don't. Well, there's the Floridas of the world, right? Or the country. There's the Floridas and the Texas of the country where they went on fully open
Wait,
a long
what?
time ago.
The Floridas.
Yeah,
That-
Florida opened like a long time ago. Texas,
And what else? Oh,
Texas did too. And I think for a while they were having, I think, less numbers. And
I was in Texas about a week ago.
did you quarantine, Pastor?
It
I just played.
it's just funny on the airplane. Everybody is
Yeah.
wearing the masks, and then you get there, and we had meetings, and
Yeah.
I was mostly wearing mask in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think another person too,
Yeah.
but everybody else they were not
I
wearing
think
masks.
they immediately knew you were from California.
When you wear a mask.
When you wear a
Yeah.
mask, yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too. That happened to me in Montana.
Did it?
Yeah, I was the only one. Me and
The
my
only one,
family
yeah.
with masks.
I don't. You wear a mask often?
I do because I feel like protected.
Do you really?
Yes.
We'll have a talk after. after?
No. I mean, I'm not talking about COVID.
Okay.
Period. I'm
Yeah.
talking about period.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I got less sick last year that I was wearing masks.
At all? Did you get sick at all?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, me neither.
And then this year, not long ago, you guys knew about this. I was,
The infection.
I got my throat infected and my tonsil, and it's.
You had all the COVID symptoms, but it wasn't COVID.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I'm just playing.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I know. That was beautiful.
I don't know. It's like it aches and I can't taste anything, but I don't think it's COVID.
It's not COVID.
Not COVID. Yeah, yeah, but it does make a difference as far as at least my system and my health. I'm not saying anything.
That is very interesting, right? That that tells me, not anybody else, that hey, you're dirty. Like you need to. Like I want to not stop using hand sanitizer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I know there is science where it's like, hey, there's good bacteria that you kill off too, or I at least want to have way better, like hygiene in the sense of washing your hands and just using a napkin to open the door. Because how many times did we really get those bacterias or those viruses from gas stations?
Yeah.
Or just door handles that we took for granted.
Yeah.
And now that we're wearing a mask and hand sanitizing like everything, every 5 steps, we don't get sick.
Yeah, but then again, for a whole year, or the most part of a year, you really didn't see people.
I did.
Everyone was like,
Yeah, that's
Were we
also
though,
true.
really?
That's also true.
most of the time,
I see people every day,
Right.
He's
you
a UPSer.
see people, but I'm saying like you didn't interact.
and I hardly wear
as
masks.
parties weren't going on.
Almost no.
There was less social
Yeah.
social situations because you
Not
go to
for me,
you go to the
work all
super.
the time.
Oh, you were partying all the time?
No, I work.
You
Oh.
consider work social?
Well, I was this
First
close
of
to
all,
people
that's good.
sometimes. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
but you're
don't
not
no, but I
exposed
don't
for a
mean
long time.
I don't mean the necessities. For example, you were working and then so people would go to the store,
Yeah.
but not to mingle. You would go, you do your thing,
Yeah.
and you get out.
Exactly.
And
And
we're
most of the
talking
time I
about
wasn't
that
wearing
most
the
of the time we didn't do like this, like we're sitting together, eating, talking, and stuff like that. Like that diminished
Well, I don't.
greatly,
I guess.
more than usual. People were in their homes.
The majority.
I like
The majority, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say like I'd like to think that you don't get like that. I didn't
Oh,
get sick because
because-
I wasn't exposed.
We were
like,
exposed
for
to each
long
other.
periods of time. But were you sick? Did you have the flu?
No, I think sometimes I did, but I didn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't know.
The point with the mask is that
They're like, guys,
it's-
like, I
they-
haven't
they-
smelled anything.
they make it a
in
big
weeks.
the problem with
Should
the
we
mask
get
is that you're doing it you're either resisting it or you're
Yeah.
doing it for
Yeah.
either the right or the wrong reasons, right?
The
So
mask?
that-
Is
the
that-
mask,
oh.
yeah, the
It's all the
mask.
same
So
to me,
so
mask
there's a
and
group of people that resist it because the government's saying do it and we don't trust it anymore
Yeah.
because of all these things that
Mhm.
I think that they've said, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't wear it like so then you have the other people say no, you have to wear it because if you don't then you're part of the problem. Now, here's the thing. Nobody wants to be pointed out as I'm part of the problem because I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be pointed out as I'm careless because,
Yeah, I think people should, just be considerate in the sense of, hey, if you're a cashier and you're wearing a mask, the last thing I'm going to do is come here and just like blow my breath on you,
Yeah.
I like to carry like even like a one that's fabric, just for consideration for others. Like, hey, if you're wearing it, I'll put it on. That's fine, but I'm not going to just be one to everywhere I go and wear it in my car as I drive and no.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's not I just want to say it's not there's this word I always forget this word superstition is not none of that stuff. I think I've noticed that it actually does help me and I have breathing and all that stuff. So
Well, there is cultures that have always worn masks, like
Yeah.
here from time to time,
Yeah. Drea says the article reads kids are getting sick possibly due to the unvaccinated. I don't know what that means, Drea. What article is that?
I think that's the problem when you start branding people. The unvaccinated, the vaccinated. That's when you start getting problems.
I think, hey, if you want if you don't
You
want the
make-
vaccine,
You make somebody the
suit
boogeyman.
yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't keep us locked down. Like, you have the option to get
Yeah.
the vaccine. So if you don't want it, live. You know what I mean? Like
And-
there might be a consequences. I hope it's a reward.
So
you know,
we
but
were
it- but
we
it
were
might
talking
be a
about Arnold. He's saying something about the mask. No.
Oh yeah, he was. I think
Schwarzenegger?
he called them smucks or something like that. The unvaccinated people,
Yeah.
or the people that wear masks. One of those. And then they caught him without a mask. So
That's the problem, though.
That's funny.
See what I mean?
Politics. I mean, politics.
well, he didn't have a
Talking
mask.
about-
Well, he didn't have a mask because he was smoking a cigar. So that's why he didn't have a
Yeah.
mask. You can't smoke a cigar and have a mask.
And we're supposed to like listen. I mean, at least here in California, they want to
talking
have
like-
us locked down again.
Do they?
Do they?
I think they're waiting for
Well,
they're waiting for the
like-
recall election to go.
Right, but
And they'll
now they're
decide.
asking
Yeah.
for the vaccine card or whatever.
Oh, the
Some
vaccine
places are gonna
passport?
yeah, like you're
Yeah.
gonna start asking.
Well, New York
"So
already
you need
passed
a
that.
mask to get into the store wherever you go.
Yeah,
Now you're gonna. How are they gonna handle that? Like
Because-
show a card to go?
because
The real ID.
I think I lost my.
but that
my
makes no
little
sense
card.
because even if you have the vaccine, you still have a chance of catching COVID and spreading it.
Well, exactly.
So what's the even if you're vaccinated, like what's the difference?
I think they need to figure out what
Look, I
what
think
the thing is.
no. Realistically, though, like, hey, I believe that it's proven that, dude. If you get vaccinated, you're still probably gonna get it, but you're not gonna die. You're not gonna go.
Well,
to the
there's
hospital.
been
and I can live with that.
there's been a number
I-
of people that died and been fully vaccinated.
How many?
I don't know the numbers because they keep it on the wraps, but
I
There
don't
have been.
believe it.
there have been.
According to
I think more than 95% of the people
Yeah, I love-
going to
no,
hospitals
yeah.
now
No, I got
are unvaccinated.
there's I think as a comedy show comedian where they were all fully vaccinated and they all got it from one guy.
It says about
Yeah, no,
it,
you-
it
you
doesn't
get
say, but Drea is interacting with us. But she says the idea that unvaccinated being the unvaccinated being the problem and the monsters.
Nah.
That's what. Yeah, but that, again, you're making somebody a boogie.
That's what she's saying. Like
Yeah,
the-
that's
that
just-
they're selling
but
the idea.
That's typical. Same thing with politics. The right, the left. You know,
but
the
but
vaccinated,
also,
the unvaccinated, the mask, the anti-maskers. It's
but also
you're putting people in a box to create some
Yes.
kind of
Look,
conflict.
look. At the end of the day, like, it's gonna get cold in December. It might be raining in January. If I wear a coat, I might, not get sick.
Yeah.
I might still get sick, But if I don't, I choose not to. I mean, you're probably gonna get sick. You know what I mean? You're still your choice. It's still
done
the
with it.
same. Like,
I
they're not
think-
monsters
I think
for
that-
doing it or not.
Yeah, I think the
But
biggest
we should
problem.
do a disclaimer though too, because there are people that cannot get vaccinated
Oh, that's
Yeah.
for health reasons because
Oh,
they
I
have allergies
I learned of an
and
interesting
they
one.
don't.
What was it?
So I have a coworker who, when he was in his 20s, he came down with this illness where his legs would give out all of a sudden, and it would start to happen more and more. And it's this really rare disease. Basically, they ended up they cured him,
Mm-hmm.
but he lives with the danger that it can be reawakened, and vaccines are known to do that.
Oh wow! So,
So
he can't.
he can't. He's the only one in our company. Even I'm like, am I still? And I kid you not. There's people that are like, this guy doesn't want to get vaccinated. Would you get vaccinated in that sense? In that,
And that's what I'm going back to. You're starting to create these conflicts.
Yeah. I've never had a vaccine
but
for the
but,
flu.
But for example, watch.
All once.
For example, well, my hand is right. I can point at you. Gil did it.
I did not.
For example, our company's in the right to say if you're going to come back to work, you need to be vaccinated, or our company's wrong to say that. What do you guys think?
I think they're right because I think they're going to be liable for anything that
Risk and reward.
Yeah, they're,
And I think that's
Choose
what
your poison,
it just
you know?
comes down
they're
to.
going to be liable for whatever happens in their
All these
company.
companies that are virtual signaling or that they're doing this, all they're doing is we want to cover ourselves from lawsuits and
Mhm,
all
that's
these
all it
things.
is.
That's all
Of
it is.
course.
It's not necessarily that we believe in, LBGT rights or whatever. It's just that if we don't, we're being threatened that they're gonna sue us. And I think it goes the same thing with the vaccine, probably. Just an idea.
Can we point something out?
You can.
What about like in the church sense? I know
we are
was
free in the Lord.
there is very much a popular idea that
Man.
I heard it. Oh no, that's the mark of the beast. That-
Oh, the vaccine.
Oh, the vaccine.
yeah.
Oh, that way.
like,
It goes
Look,
back- it
if
goes back
anything,
to
if anything was the mark of the beast, it would be your
My
debit
iPhone.
card and
iPhone.
your iPhone or
and don't you think like
Or
the
something like
Lord
that.
being so faithful would have thrown up so many red flags that hey, don't do that? especially as faithfully like serving and being in Him. And would we just be like, oh yeah, it was just one decision and that's it? You're branded forever.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now. Come on now.
I don't know. I don't know nothing, Pastor.
I don't know. Yeah, I've heard the argument, and I've seen people promoting and putting videos out
And
there
fighting over it.
Fighting over it.
That's like, does that resemble
Yeah.
Jesus? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think you could catch it with a vaccination. You could catch it without a vaccination. You could catch it with a mask, without a mask.
I think this. You want to know what I think?
Just I'm over it, Pastor.
You want to know what I think? I think this. This is what I think. Are you ready? I think this. This is what I really think.
Okay.
Let's move to the top of the mountain.
I think that there is an innate sense of responsibility and common sense that you have to exercise, even being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
That God gives you wisdom and grace and common sense for you to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that life and death are in His hands, period.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be careless.
No, for sure.
You're not going to be over worried about it. You're just going to live life and make the best decision that you can as as long as you're living here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as you do that, because you're going to have to make all kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
As you do, make your decisions and be able to be loving and compassionate to other people.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the way it should go. And in the church, it's the same thing. And it's like, we're not going to fight over go get vaccinated or wear your mask or not. I mean, make your decisions, but make sure that your decision doesn't affect people or anybody else.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday, I was home. This happened for the first time ever. In the new neighborhood where I live, I'm not gonna say where.
In Utah.
Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and
Might as well be.
and I guess someone somewhere, not very far away from me or from the house, they had a live band at
Where do you live in LA?
I know.
at 1 a.m.
Hey,
and
Pastor, that's like every week. At my house.
That's every
yeah, and my kids are like,
it's a typical weekend.
well, it's never happened where where I live in the neighborhood. And then my kids are like, oh, that's a very annoying music.
Tell
It's
me
a
about
teaching moment for me. And I said, hey, look, there's people who do not care
Yeah.
what other people think or if they're disturbing or making noise for anybody. They just care about themselves.
Inconsiderate.
Inconsiderate
Yeah,
people
that's
that
become
all they
such a
think
new,
about is them.
like fad.
The church cannot be that. We
No.
cannot be that.
Uh-uh.
We should know better than that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than someone that doesn't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, but that's it. Now, I do want to talk about something that's going on, and then we're gonna move on to the main topic. We have Afghanistan.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Did you guys see that coming? How did you think that was gonna
Some of
end?
my friends did.
I saw it coming.
Did we think it was gonna end differently?
No. That's history repeating itself, isn't it?
What happened?
Okay.
Tell the people. For the people's sake, guys.
Oh, not for you. You know what's going on, right?
Totes.
Oh, okay. What was that? Totes?
She said toads.
What's totes mean?
Totally.
Like yes.
Oh,
totally.
I'm not hip. I'm not in.
Agree.
It's like TOT,
He's
but you don't say
45.
the whole
Yeah, I'm
thing.
45. I'm not even with the
Sorry.
hip crowd.
At that age, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
I
that.
do.
Like, what?
I do. That
You watch a
jokes,
lot of
man.
TV though. I'm be surprised you
don't.
don't.
Okay, so what's
Don't
going on?
watch his Pure Flex, he said.
Yeah, Pure Flex. No
Pure Flex. Who does that? Gil?
No, yeah, he does.
Isaac.
You do?
Yeah.
Pure Fix only.
Pure Flex.
Yeah, Faith and Family.
Faith
Channel.
and The actor's name is last name is White.
What?
The guy who started it,
Oh.
and he stars in most of his films.
We're going back to Afghanistan.
Something White.
Doesn't he come out in the left behind? What are they called?
Who?
No, the God's Not Dead.
Oh.
There's God's Not Dead 1,
I wish
2, and 3.
I wish more money went into those. films,
Actually,
man.
he comes out in.
I do.
Did you guys watch?
watched them all.
The first one.
All of them.
Okay. Do you remember the guy who was trying to go to Disneyland and they never got there?
Yeah.
It was the missionary and the pastor.
Yeah.
Well, the white guy, that guy. I don't want to say white, but that guy,
Caucasian.
the Caucasian guy.
Privilege.
That's the founder of Pure Flix.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's him.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I hope God's blessed them.
Steph,
Yeah, why not? I mean,
I had Pure
you watch
Flix.
Pure Flix?
Because there was a point where they gave you 3 months for free subscription.
yeah.
I canceled it, but I watched everything on there. You know, I did. I canceled it.
I mean,
I didn't want.
you gotta hand it to people who are out there
they're trying.
trying to provide a different
Yeah. And
kind of.
I honestly wish there was more funding for these films. They have potential.
I do.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool that the Duck Dynasty guy was on there. I was like, he did that for free. I
Yeah,
bet.
that guy,
must have done it for
Hercules
free.
2,
Yeah.
who happens to be a Christian now.
Yeah.
And I used to watch Hercules
I have no idea
back in the day.
what they're talking about.
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, I know who he's talking about, but I don't know Pure Flix. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know, and you're right. I mean, there should be more money going into that, so the films are better. It all comes down to that.
Now people are going crazy for The Chosen.
The Chosen, yeah.
But The Chosen is Mormon.
That's what you keep
That's what you
saying.
keep saying,
But
Pastor.
you
But that's-
realize
that's-
we're gonna get some lashback out of this.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah, we're
popular.
gonna
And
get
I watched like
We're gonna-
4
we're gonna get
episodes,
some fact check.
and I'm like,
fact check.
whoa.
Yeah, if you can, if you want to fact check me and see where the origin is, but I think there.
I think I did look into it, and it did say it was.
Yeah.
No, I think they were just using the Mormon studios, don't
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's all it is.
Then it's Mormon.
No.
Really?
Who's funding it?
Well, there's churches that meet at a bar. Is it a bar?
Who's
No.
No, but see,
It is a bar.
Ah.
But now
no.
while the church is there,
your
though.
argument doesn't hold water because
I know,
the
I know.
fundamental
It's
fundamental
like apples and oranges.
the fundamental thing here is this: if you're preaching about someone that you do not believe is who he said he is, and you're portraying that in your funded film, then what does that mean?
Have you seen it, Pastor?
It means that all you're doing is virtue signaling for the Christians to say, hey, we believe in Christ, but really our doctrine doesn't.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
they're weird.
Huh?
They're weird.
Who's Mormons?
But they don't, I mean, Christ is not,
No, they're
The Son of
they're-
God.
They're like way out.
but for some reason, and I think it might be, it might be honesty, I don't know.
I invited him into my house one time.
Me too. But I think part of the reason is, hey, Christ, he sells.
He's
attractive.
You know how
But he's not the Son of God.
yeah. Wow. It's just a prophet, right?
That's the problem here. So if you're portraying something, and maybe the people who are making it, they're like, oh, yeah, we believe in Christ and we love Christ. But my problem is that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and well, doesn't the word say anyone who even changes slightly this message? Is,
Well, that's not the Bible. That's just like a novelization of the Bible. I mean, you have a modern Jesus. I think I saw a preview where it says something.
he's like, you could be just like him. Now that's their pitching. That's their
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah.
And then they take little cups out and they try to show you exactly how you're gonna end up
I don't know.
like a god.
I haven't seen it, so I cannot speak of the production value or.
No, I meant the Mormons when they come to your house.
Yeah, but I do know
Yeah.
that they don't believe in Christ as we believe in Christ. But speaking of films and movies and stuff like that, movies are bad in the sense that they're not making money. Have you guys seen any of that?
But weren't they like not really making anymore because of Netflix and
No, they
Amazon
but they were making
Because of
before-
my jailbroken Fire
before-
Stick.
Gil, we don't want to know what you're doing or what content you're watching or how.
Now we're gonna get shut down.
I know
Yeah.
now we are Gil. No, but before the pandemic, there was a market. I mean, people were going to the movies, and now
But they were already talking about the decline of that though. Because at the very beginning, right before the pandemic, they were already releasing movies on Amazon Prime and HBO.
Yeah,
and
that
all
is
stuff.
interesting.
but not mainstream
were
or
testing
big
it.
budget movies.
Yeah.
Some of them were. I don't know the names.
No,
I don't watch
the ones that did that I remember that they did that was Warner Brothers and HBO Max. They put the whole the whole slate of movies, big budget movies,
Yeah, the Batman
to be released
Why not?
on their HBO, and theaters didn't like it, artists didn't like it, and they're like, no, we're doing this. Now they're paying the consequences because they're putting the movies in theater and on
no one's going
the
to
service, and no one's going to the movies because their biggest revenue is the theaters. Why? Because right there you can see who pays and who doesn't pay for it. But when you're signed up, you don't know. You don't know that.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
per
you can
person.
you can see how many people are watching it, but in the theater, you have every single person paying for the ticket,
Yeah.
so you see the revenues immediately. So now what's happening is that you're getting movies, big budget movies, that are coming out with 28, 35, $20 million on the.
I just like the theaters for the popcorn and jalapeno. That's it. That's it.
I like the movie theater experience.
I like
I
those.
thought it was a sin to go to the theater, Pastor.
It is.
Is it? Yeah.
I love me
You
those
put on a
$14 nachos.
Wasn't that going? Is it sin to?
Did you ever sneak in food into the theater?
No.
was it
Gil.
Never.
No,
Was de
Gil.
Dios eso?
No, I
Not
promise you.
forgot.
But like here, matinee, AMC, Fullerton used to let you walk right in
Anything to save a buck. Huh?
with your
I am
Costco
a-
pizza
I am
and
a-
your chicken bacon.
I am afraid of what comes out of this
Yeah, because it was across the
podcast
parking lot.
that I don't know.
Just confessions.
I know a bunch of confessions.
It was BC, Gil BC. Gil
The-
before
Oh,
Christ.
Yeah,
Before
before Christ.
Yeah,
BC.
I don't have any time to go to the movies.
The point is, Pastor Daniel Vergara says hello,
Oh yeah.
so we're gonna put him here.
That man is amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. Pastor, thank you for watching. You're awesome, fantastic, phenomenal.
I see why he's your friend.
He's my friend.
I
yeah.
know.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Are you really, Pastor?
Rosie, change the
Yeah.
change it to
Say,
the other
move
one.
the
And then
camera.
our churches are so close, Pastor. We should be friends as churches.
we are sister friends, churches,
Or what is, yeah,
friends.
sis, like in
No,
Sister
but
City.
Like a
don't
sister
go-
So we should,
Sister
Sister
church.
churches.
as churches,
Yeah.
we should mingle more.
Yeah, more mingling.
Not right now
But-
because of COVID, but
Don't call it.
Or
friends,
now. We'll do it outside.
don't call who?
And by the
Don't
way,
call it
we
friends
do
church.
No?
Hey, I do want to say this since he's watching. We do want to thank him for doing the camp
That was phenomenal.
because our kids needed it, and he saw that need, and it was done, and it was phenomenal. My kids loved it.
Awesome.
You know they have a green room.
Oh wow.
Don't let's no. There's
Their church is awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Pastor Danny, if you're watching,
Hey, we have agreement too with
I
the
had
church.
I had
How
a
about the
problem
patio?
with that because the first thing that you guys came and told me after the camp
I don't
was
know. It wasn't me.
Hey,
Pastor.
that church
They
has
love
a-
their worshipers
that
over
church,
there.
that church has a green room.
Pastor, I said no such thing. It wasn't me. I said we have agreement. We have a little fridge in
Yeah,
the back.
and then I pointed you guys to the parking lot.
Just because you didn't go, that's why.
Hey, we
But
have
if
a
you
we have
were
a
there-
cooler in the back with a bunch of salsa.
But they
water.
have cup of noodles. Not that I eat cup of noodles, but
Oh
still.
wow!
Yeah, come
They
on.
have hot Cheetos.
Yeah, he's putting me to shame. He's putting me
Wow.
to shame. My reputation.
So that's what you come to church for? The hot Cheetos and the cup of noodles?
I said no, not me.
Oh, okay.
But it'd
Other
be
people.
nice. Yeah, for pastor when he's done preaching.
Yeah, I want to go up there with a cup of noodle. Hey,
Pastor,
what's up, people?
Pastor is already full of the Holy Spirit. He doesn't need any.
Santo
Oh
Dios.
wow, sorry.
He
Glory,
eats
glory,
spiritual
glory.
food
Oh,
only.
come on, guys. Come on. Anyway, so the theaters are doing really bad, and it's not good. And Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney.
Is she?
She is because of breach of contract. Now, check this out.
Does she have enough money?
That's what I was going to say. She got paid 20 million
That's
or
nothing.
28
That's not
million for the Black Widow movie that she did. I haven't seen it.
Me neither.
Nobody watched that.
But anyways,
She
and
having a
she
baby.
she
I don't
is a while ago.
I don't know.
She's suing them for more money.
Okay.
That wasn't enough.
Not enough.
20 million? I don't
You,
know.
yeah.
I can buy 20
20
houses.
million? How dare you?
I can do 20
you gypped
churches.
me.
It's never enough, Pastor.
It's never enough.
Never enough.
Okay, so let's go to the topic today. Today's topic is this.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's so many we thought
There's
about.
so many we thought about. But here's the topic. And this is for you guys. If you're watching, you can comment down. You can tell us what you think about this. But the topic is at least 5 to 10 things that are wrong with the church today.
We have to.
Whose church? Because
Yeah.
ours, I mean.
The church in
Not our
general.
church.
It could be ours. But you guys come here. So if you guys say anything, I know it's here. It's
No,
this
it's
one.
not. No, it's
But you
not.
guys didn't finish talking about the Afghanistan.
I go to many
Oh,
others. I'm
it's,
just
it's,
like,
it's a mess.
Okay.
Afghanistan, yeah. I kind of saw it coming because there's a
Because
difference
history?
in culture,
Yeah.
history, and because it doesn't have the
But
infrastructure.
Again, guys,
Yes.
tell the people what's happening.
What do you mean? What's
ISIS.
happening?
No.
where's-
Okay, in one sentence, summarize why Afghanistan.
It's a mess.
Here it is. Here it is.
Oh, jeez.
After 20 years,
Yes. Of wasting treasure and blood.
everything, the United States
American
Army,
blood.
which was occupying, No, it wasn't
we
occupying.
we were holding it down for them.
We were
Let's be realistic.
protecting.
it was protecting,
holding the peace.
holding off the Taliban and the terrorists, right? So after 20 years,
Yes.
and
Sleepy
20 years
Joe.
ago, who was it that sent them over
Bush.
there? Bush, of course.
Wow.
And after 20 years,
After 9/11.
after 9/11,
Yes.
They are coming back home little by little.
Yes.
That's what they're
Oh,
doing.
not little by little, like they're gone.
Okay, but they started
Yeah.
a process
Earlier this year.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I meant. That's what I meant. So now they're at the last. I mean, every single troop is leaving it. They're making it like really fast. So as they leave, the Taliban, they are going from city to city, invading and taking over.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the United States, they trained an army and all these things, as soon as they left, they invaded and they overran the armies and everybody else. Now, was anything besides that be expected? The answer to that question is, I don't think so. If the country doesn't have the infrastructure and you don't value,
You don't put one in place.
yeah, and you don't have that particular culture, which takes, to the United States, it took 200 years to do, you're not going to do it in 20 years.
Wow.
So you're going to have a culture that's going to go back. I mean, the soldiers, apparently, they're not even fighting anymore. They're not, and that's where it is. They're not willing to defend. And obviously, because these guys are overrunning them. I mean, it's obvious, right? So my question now is, what was the whole goal of the whole thing? What was the end game? What was the plan?
Osama bin Laden.
Oil.
You think so? I mean,
Osama
that's
bin
what they
Laden,
keep on
that's what it
saying,
was.
but
I'm just saying. I'm just being.
I don't know. It's
it's a mess.
But the thing with that region of the world, it's hard to govern them because they're mostly tribes and nomads, so they're not like centrally located government that controls. Everybody has a different, their own set of rules and governance, like little tribes. So it's hard to have them agree on something. So that's why it's a tough place. It's been like that for thousands of years. So at this point, I think there's nothing else to than
there was
leave.
there was an investment of
Yeah, there was
persons,
That's what's offensive at the end of the day. 'Cause
weapons,
But-
for what?
It was just throwing money at a problem that
money,
never was going to be solved.
companies,
Never
and
gonna
now
be
everybody's fleeing. It's like Vietnam all over.
Yeah,
Kind of.
there is no solution to this. You just at this point you let it.
But the United States, they do things, we do things
Oh, yeah.
by implication. I mean, we don't do anything just because.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder what the bigger implications of this and the results.
I don't think
that
we'll
they were
ever
looking
know
for. Well, yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
I mean that.
until Jesus.
Yes, true. But those people are gone. Bush is no longer there, so we don't know what the end game was. I mean, you caught Obama and no Osama, not Obama. Obama caught Osama.
Obama Osama, yeah.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
It's a problem without a solution. I think.
I think it is. It's a cultural thing. I mean, it
Yeah,
needs to
but
be.
I think the problem is that then it repeats itself again, and what they restructure themselves to be who they were, and then now it progresses. It gets worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse, And then how soon before they attack again
Yeah,
or start,
yeah. They regain force and then
Exactly.
they go back to the
And
same
they
thing, and
think
then you're
they
gonna go
can-
back to the same thing.
exactly. And then
And-
we're gonna reinvade.
And as far as we know, they destroy things. They destroy historical buildings and artifacts, and they don't care.
They don't.
They really don't care. So that's what it is. Okay, so let's go back to the topic. What is wrong with the church? Things that are wrong with church.
That's a really hard topic to.
No, it's not as easy.
begin.
Everybody has to.
No, I think everyone has.
Everybody has
to
something
say,
that they
but-
need to
but
say
it's
about.
hard to initiate the
Ah,
conversation.
yeah. But you're. This is a safe
Don't-
place.
don't-
We asked the two.
Don't shy. Don't
The
be
two
shy.
guests?
No.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Rosie, Cindy.
You guys have any
What-
opinions on that? That's a no. No.
Share what you were saying earlier, because it can, perhaps we can.
I think
call
you
it
guys.
as a problem.
You guys are afraid. That's what you guys are.
Like
Wow.
the whole,
We're not
why aren't we
afraid.
seeing these things?
Afraid. Afraid of what?
Okay, Isaac, you go first.
Wow.
Okay, so let's go.
I guess.
let's go
I guess
around.
the biggest problem I see, and not like a church as a whole, like church, not our church,
Let's just pretend CCFC.
not CCFC.
Okay.
I think if we go back to what we have been talking about before, like I think we always look at church as a as a entertainment sometimes, you know. It's like what do I get out of the church, right? What could I go over there? I'll go to this Sunday for 2 hours. What could it do for me? Whether it makes me feel good for a couple hours, whether I go see a good band playing, hopefully, or they're gonna take care of my kids, or stuff like that, right? You see it as an entertainment, and then you start criticizing that way, right? Oh, this should do this better. They should do that better. Whereas I think we should look at church as a place where we could come and encounter God and have that true,
Be part of.
that true transformation in our lives, right? Where we encounter God for these whatever amount of time we're there, and have a community that we sharpen each other to walk this walk together.
Yeah.
think
So
that's-
what we're talking about is the whole consumerism.
Yeah, being a consumer of the church.
Yeah,
instead
of the church
yeah.
instead of someone that contributes to it.
Yeah.
I've heard that problem before in churches. You have a consumer kind of
Mentality, yeah.
relationship and mentality, and just in case you need more clarification, it's like if I go to Walmart and I find a product that I really really like, and then I'll come back the next time and the next day.
Yeah.
But the moment they don't sell it,
Yeah.
it's easier for me to go to another store, go to Target, and maybe find it there because they offer me better service or better products or whatever. So the consumer mentality is I come to church and I want to consume a product.
Yeah.
And what that means is that my kids, they better have a good program.
yeah.
My youth, they better have a good place for them to come. So everything's catered to the person. And I don't think that's totally wrong, because you don't want to go to a place where they treat you bad and they don't like your kids.
Yeah, that's a given. But when you start focusing
Right.
and making that a priority, I think that's
You don't. I think the problem is when you don't participate to make it better.
You don't become a solution. You're just
Yeah,
You just flag an
consume and
issue.
consume in the moment that you don't find what you want.
you flag
Then it's
it.
easier for
Yeah.
you to
Yeah.
either say do this way, and then I've even some people go to the extreme to say, hey, I'm giving my tithe and offerings, and
Okay, what-
they should
I should
do
get- I should
this,
get
and
something.
we
Why
should
isn't
have
there
that.
napkins in the
Yeah. Why isn't this happening?
I think, it's one of the things.
And that happens.
or not give tithes and offerings and demand
And then still
this and that.
demand,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
probably, I don't know which one's worse. They're both bad, but
Yeah. So by the way, and I think it's worth mentioning if you're watching, that your financial contribution is not payment for services to be rendered. Not
Subscription?
not in the church anyways.
no way.
Gym membership or stuff.
Yeah, so that's not the way that's not the way it works. That's why it's not something that is treated as a
Yeah.
payment or a mandatory. It's,
Yeah.
it's a voluntary.
Yeah, speaking of that, like
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Even if it was though, like to take offense with like, oh hey, I'm not gonna surrender a portion, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can only analyze like based on my own reality, you know, and it's like, yeah, you'll have 2 separate gym memberships and you haven't gone in 2 years, like, and that's just
That's
being,
very
you know, that's
interesting.
no problem, you know.
So we can do the angle of, we can talk about what's wrong with the church in the sense that this is bad testimony for the people out there. Really bad testimony. And I think that consumer type of mentality, it's never good for the church.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that, in our case, for example, we're dealing with maybe one of the air conditioning is not working and we have to deal with that. But it's very easily for someone to come and say, hey,
Why don't they fix it?
yeah,
already?
fix it. And, it's hot. But what I'm saying is that there is a level where you, as a pastor, I do have to be responsible for maintaining and providing a place where you can come and worship. The problem is when you come, you demand, that's the only thing that you care for. And the moment that you don't get what you want, then you just simply change your service for another one.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. What else? What else is wrong with the church?
Anybody else?
Apathy.
Just say it, man.
Apathy.
What do you mean?
Yeah, and said, well, you were preaching about it today. Well, second service, I recall, you went a little more into the sense of how enthusiastic are we when regards to our favorite sports teams, our favorite actors, our favorite celebrities, our favorite musicians.
Favorite anything.
Yeah, but if we, all right, let's scale back and see what it represents, what we do there on a Sunday morning. And I'm just like, I have my coffee today. Like, I'm just gonna show no joy on the, you know what I mean, on the exterior. I'm just gonna choose to feel this way and dwell in it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here, like, be grateful.
Hey,
yeah,
I'm doing you a favor, Pastor.
Exactly. And then I think it's sad because, once again, what it represents that we're doing. Like, when's the last time we say, hey, I feel a certain way, but we're in the presence of the King of Kings, and he is worthy of, regardless of my heart state right now, he is worthy of all my praise, all my attention, all my worship, you know? And
for that little time that we're together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because the exercise of being together, it's biblical.
Exactly.
It's something that
exactly.
It has its worth.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, and then
like I can worship at home, and I do.
Yep. And then to say, like you were saying, oh, if you don't give me the services that I signed up for, then I'll find.
What do you guys? What do you guys think about apathy? There's
no thought.
There's
all right.
There's no enthusiasm there. Yeah, but
Exhibit A. I'm just playing.
Thank you.
No, but yeah, and then once again, like, what does this mean? Like, you know, how hard is it then to even preach the cross? If we're, you know what I mean? If just not an unpopular message is gonna go taken into, you know, offense per se.
Yeah.
Then how? Because the gospel is meant to confront us.
And then sometimes pastors, some pastors, they feel forced that they need to preach a certain way or not talk about certain things because people are going to get offended. But going back to apathy, what we were saying this morning, you know, was from John Piper, and I think he hits the nail. That's how you say it.
Hits the nail on the head.
That's the nail.
There you go. He needs the hammer and the nail. He hits it. Okay. It's Sunday afternoon. So, and what he was saying is that, you know, things that we enjoy, we worship. They provoke worship, and that's the example that I was giving. If your team makes a whatever, then there's joy inside. You enjoy that. There's joy, and then it comes out of your mouth, and then you want to share that. So he says that, and you enjoy God. And the more you enjoy God, the more that you're able to worship. And I think what we have now is worship, songs, but there's no enjoyment. Worship, serve, but there's no enjoyment. And I think that's where the problem is. And I think apathy comes from that place where you're not enjoying God. Therefore, you can't worship. And you can't fake worship. You either worship in spirit and in truth or you don't.
And if you're not fulfilled by Jesus, then you will seek to be fulfilled by something else.
Yeah.
Correct. And then that might manifest in whatever way possible.
That's definitely true. Pastor Mikey has something.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Pastor Mikey. She says, something I was meditating on this morning was Acts 20:28-35. The ESV translation says, for overseers to be careful and take care of the church of God. And I was thinking that many leaders over the history of the church have taken care of over traditions more so than care for the people in the church.
Man, that's fire.
Yeah, that is fire.
Ooh.
That is right. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know what to say, but I have to
that.
agree. I have to agree with her.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What was it? Acts what?
Acts 28:35, and I think it's when Paul is talking to the elders in Ephesus, and he's saying, "Hey, take care of the people of God. You know, be a shepherd to them." And I think it's very accurate. And I agree with her. I agree with you.
Absolutely.
Because let's look at our church,
Mm-hmm.
just our church. You know, the way we do service
Yeah.
today,
Absolutely.
it's not necessarily biblical in its structure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not necessarily that. I mean, we do services because someone back in the 1800s started doing these services this way, and altar calls were moments where the preacher would finish preaching and would meet the people to answer questions that they had about what he just preached, which was a lot of times was very evangelistic, and that became into ministering time.
Yeah.
And the structure we have doesn't come from first century necessarily, from first century Pentecostal baptized in the Holy Spirit church, but it comes from different places. What I'm saying is that that's tradition.
Yeah.
And the moment, I mean, we have to have our service this way, because if we don't have it this way, then it's not a service at all.
Then isn't it a disappointment that then right before that
Yeah.
we let off this prayer and we say, Lord, let your will be done.
Yeah.
Let us
Yeah.
be guided by your Holy Spirit. And then we say,
But then we follow the
but
same.
we do it this way.
Now, I have to be very clear that I'm not saying that the way we worship today is
Yeah.
wrong. That's not what I said. What I'm saying is that we need to understand that most of it is different traditions that have come together into a point where it's something that we can do. It's something that works for the society we live in.
Yeah.
The problem is when that's what's more precious to you than people.
Yeah.
And that's right on. And once you stop caring for people, it's easy to abuse them and use them. Once you stop caring for who they really are, like you guys are on the worship team, and you have a choice every Sunday. This is either a bunch of number people, like a sea of faces that I have to sing before them, or these are people that I really do care about, that I've been praying for them the whole week, and I really do want to minister to them. I don't want to show them, oh, this song sounds great.
Yeah.
I want them to join me, and the same with me. Like, if I don't care for people and I'm preaching, then I'm a hypocrite because I don't care for the things that I'm saying because I'm not gonna practice them. Now, how many people throughout history, how in the church itself, the number one thing for them is let's protect our customs. Let's protect our tradition, and it doesn't matter what.
At what cost?
At what cost? Who pays for this? As long as we survive this and we keep that. Now let's go back to first century church. I mean Judaism, right? That's what Jesus did. He challenged their customs.
Yeah.
And he says it. He's like, you guys are so protective of the traditions of the elders that you have invalidated the law itself.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why they killed him.
Mm.
He goes inside the temple, and it's so interesting because he cleans the temple. And if you've seen pictures or diagrams of the temple, around the main walls of the temple, there's an area, and that area was supposed to be the area where the Gentiles would come and worship.
Mm.
They could not go beyond that. If they go beyond that, they would be stoned. But they had a huge section. It's very interesting because around the temple, the whole section around it, it was for the Gentiles, for them to come and worship from afar. That's what they were supposed to do. So when Jesus comes in and he goes inside that place, there's no Gentiles worshiping. Yeah. There's a supermarket. And the only thing that they're interested in is making money. Because you do know that part of the whole thing was I bring my sheep, and then they could say something like no, that's not pure enough. You have to buy this one here. for a greater price. You're talking about people who were traveling miles and miles away for these festivities. Or before giving their offerings, they had to exchange the money, from Roman coin to temple coin. And they would pay for that too. So all this was happening in that area. That's Jesus' problem, that he comes in and he's like, this is a den of thieves. Why does he say my house will be called a house of prayer? And he doesn't say what the rest of the verse says, because the original verse says, he's quoting one of the prophets. He's saying, my house will be a house of prayer for all nations.
Wow.
So when you see it in that, the reason why he's quoting that particular verse is because the people who hear him, they understand that they have turned this place where the Gentiles were supposed to worship into a supermarket.
Yeah.
So the most important thing to them was the tradition and making money, not the people.
Yeah.
So Gentiles, we don't care. They can worship one wall away from here. So there is a history of that in the church, and I think that is very true.
Right.
And in that note, a lot of ministers is wrong with the church.
Yeah.
Can you guys think of why? In the few minutes that we have.
I think you called them all out.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to kind of appeasing culture, right? Like you try not to cause any stir, any controversy, because you don't want to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
You kind of let culture manipulate or have a say in what you're going to preach, right? Because you don't want to be that person. And I think that's probably one of the biggest issues, where you don't want to be on the news, or you want to be part of the cancel culture, right? Because of what you said or what you preach.
Yeah.
Even though it's the truth that we know. and I go back to that, what I heard, like it's like the world is discipling the church, right?
Well,
so I kind of
Yeah.
probably one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Too.
Isn't it per se? Sometimes we try to attract the world with things of the world,
That too.
looking like the world,
That too.
opposed to Jesus doesn't need us to defend him. Jesus is attractive because of Jesus. You know, he draws near to them, and they, So therefore, like, why are we being that middleman and being like, hey, no, let me sell you this version that you're gonna like, because this is the things you're accustomed to.
I'm all for using
like that.
I'm all for using tools,
Mm-hmm.
but not changing or compromising the message.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I'm all for using tools. Like if there's a tool that's gonna that's gonna speak to you better.
But don't water down the.
But don't water it down and make it very clear that this is just a tool that we're using.
Yeah.
It's not it. And I think of, for example, I wrote about this a while ago. God frees the people of Israel from Egypt from 400 years of slavery. So they were very familiar with Egyptian culture and everything. He takes them out, brings them to the desert, and says, build me a temple, build me a place where my presence could be. And I find that interesting. Beyond the practical of them moving around, beyond the practical, he tells them exactly what to build. Now, why not just build a temple or something that resemble an Egyptian temple for Egyptian gods? I mean, that was in their nature. They've seen the architecture, they've seen the system, they know what it's like. So the easiest thing would be that. And they show that because every time something goes wrong or it gets hard, they want to go back to Egypt. So they're in there. But God doesn't do that. God specifically, and it's funny because it's funny in the good way, because God shows a design, listen to this, from heaven to Moses for the tabernacle. My point is that there is enough of a spiritual source in heaven for the church to be creative and on its own to bring people into the reality of the kingdom. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem.
So in the aspect of worship too, right? Because why absolutely sure that the Lord has something new
Yeah.
to offer. That
Yeah.
doesn't have to. Oh, that sounds like this, you know,
Yeah.
or that's. Oh, I like it because.
Yeah, like that song we were listening to.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I remember we've having conversations regarding that
Yeah.
a while back.
Yeah. About what?
Just new things, you know, opposed to trying to copy.
Yeah. Yeah, it just depends on how long you how long you are you going to spend in the presence of God. And going back to tabernacle, you read it in Exodus 30, 31, 32, 33, I think it was. How God says, "Build me this. This is the design. This is the way you should do it. This is the material." Like God's telling them everything, and these are the people.
Yeah.
And then the Bible often says, and God's Spirit would come upon that person and give them creativity to do what God wanted them to do.
Now let me specify, because I do believe that influence is okay. You know, like whether like, hey, like this is all I've known, because I do believe that God will take, something and make it for the good, and we'll make it, we'll for the edification of the church.
Yeah.
Right? However, when someone were to say, hey, no, now since we need something different, we're going to go out there and get something new again and bring it here and try to make it, opposed to, Lord, what do you have for us?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to be specific.
So would you say that that's wrong with the church when the church loves the world?
100%. Well, no, not in the sense of we love, but I believe it's a problem where we want to be like the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm
worldify the church,
or appease, like.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because John does say, 1 John chapter 2, it says, "Do not love the world or the things of the world, because whoever loves the world, then they don't have God in them. And if you love the world, then like there's nothing of God in you, because you can't be loving the world.
Yeah,
And the world passes and its desires, but those who do the will of God, they remain.
Yeah.
So you have a church who constantly drools for the things of the world. Is that what you're saying? That's wrong with the church?
I believe so.
Okay. I agree. I think worship is
Very, very.
is something that could be very wrong with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a worship leader, so you should know. No, I mean in the sense that it's very easy.
Yeah, it's easy, yeah.
To deviate from true worship. You make it about the songs, or what song's gonna hit, what song's gonna sound good.
Especially, I guess, if you become that person, or like you become known, right?
Yeah,
you hit a hit song. It's easy.
You have to deal with that.
Yeah, like it's easy to be swayed that way, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. Like the Lord, the more intimate you are in your time with Him, the more He reveals to you.
Yeah,
in the sense of, He does try to start to transform you, and He does back you up in the sense of a worshiper. You start to be very receptive in the sense of, what am I listening to? What am I seeing?
Yeah.
What am I?
Yeah.
And how it influences what He called you to do.
Well, I think the root of that is that you cannot be transformed. You cannot see the glory of God if you don't see your own faults.
Yeah.
Because they are gonna reveal that.
But like you said, being a worshiper, you could easily be influenced by. I think also as a pastor of a church, right? If you see a church growing, a lot more people coming, you start getting more people. You start being on TV.
I'm preaching really good.
Yeah, like that's also, I think,
I'm good at it.
Yeah, that's also another easy way to fall into that side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 4,000 followers on the East Coast.
You as a minister, you could become corrupted.
Yeah.
It's easy to become corrupted.
Yeah.
I think another thing that might be wrong with the church, or projects as something being really off, is money. Is the perception of money. It's the way that sometimes it's handled. There's churches and organizations that they're very, very clear and responsible and organized, but there's others that they're not. And unfortunately, I can't speak anymore. Opulence, extravagance, all these things for the glory of the ministry, or even for the glory of God, become a hindrance. And the root of all evil is the love of money. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So there comes a moment where your heart gets corrupted, and and it goes back to loving the people. Instead of loving the people, you're more interested in your well-being as a minister, and you want people to give. And I think the fallacy, the trap, is that the more it's interesting because there's two ways. You're preaching the word, you know what it's required, you know your financial responsibilities, and that's all you do. Whatever comes in goes to that. But I think the more you get as far as that, it becomes a problem, because there comes a point where you need to maintain that. And what are you willing to do to maintain it?
Wow. That's where we see this chaos.
Yeah, what are you willing
movement.
to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're going to be willing to say anything, God said anything, or
Add to the message.
add to it,
Take from
just
it.
to, or do crazy stuff.
Manipulate it, yeah.
Because you need to maintain that level of financial sustainability. And I think that's a danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very huge danger.
Sure.
And then you have other pastors that, with the affluence that they get or the money that they get, their lifestyle starts changing,
Yeah.
and it becomes more, I don't know, Liberace kind of thing, more extravagant. You know what I mean? Like very, very.
Designer, everything.
Yeah. That's what I meant. I didn't mean anything by that.
No.
So it becomes that, and there might be someone saying, well, we want the good stuff, and I mean,
At what expense?
Yeah.
I don't think it should be at the expense of the church or the people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think, or the gospel itself, period. The one thing that Jesus had, I don't know what he did afterwards when he resurrected, but the only thing Jesus had, supposedly, was his tunic, and even that was, torn between, I was going to say pastors, torn between soldiers. But I think that's something that's wrong with the church. Very, very wrong. I also think, we talked about this earlier, another thing that's wrong is that a lot of times there's no responsible relationships between church members. And we end up where Paul said, fighting with one another, biting one another, eating up one another. And there's a lot of talk about, I'm spiritual and I'm this and I'm that, and God uses me in this, but there's no love, patience, there's no kindness,
And those are the fruits.
there's none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's problematic.
Yeah.
It's very problematic in the church. I think that's something that's
Wouldn't
wrong.
it be like that in a sense, Pastor? Like you can have even the gift of healing or in prophecy and be able to translate these things. But if you have an issue with anger or with like loving one another, then of what purpose? Doesn't Paul say? Like,
Yeah, that's Paul says. Paul says that in he says it in 1 Corinthians.
Then for
chapter
what?
13.
Yeah.
He says you're useless, and whatever you're doing means nothing if there's no compassion in your heart. And then it's been said that the gifts of the Spirit, they build up the church. Paul says this.
Yeah.
So the building up of the church, the way that you build it up is by strong relationships, by relationships that they respect one another and you value one another. And it's all about how you're gonna respond. You can respond in the flesh, or you can respond in the Spirit to the challenges that we face as far as relationships is concerned.
I have a question. Oh, go for it.
And I think it goes back to viewing the church as a community, as a family, right?
Yeah.
If you don't see that from the beginning, or you don't feel that, it's really easy for you to like a problem comes up or an argument comes up, and you could walk out the door and say, "I'll go to somewhere where they appreciate me."
Yeah.
You don't have the love for that person, or the kindness for that person to actually try to solve the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we see church from the beginning as an entertainment value, we lose that, like you said, that personal touch with a person, right?
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah, we don't see them as family, and we don't want to solve that problem because we don't, why waste our time?
Yeah.
I just come
I
here.
get a new one.
I just come 2 hours on a Sunday, and I could go find that somewhere else, where they won't give me a hard time. So I think that plays into it as well.
Yeah, but I also think that one of the things that I've always said to the youth is like, if you have no claim to any relationship within the church, like if you're just passing by, you don't know the usher that says hello to you when you come in, you don't know the sound person, you don't know the people in church when you're young, you're gonna grow up and say, I don't care about this place, I'm just gonna find a place where I have friends. And I think it comes down to that, is the church it's supposed to be where you build relationships that will last all eternity. Right? That's what you're supposed to do. And the problem is the emphasis on many other things, but not on the responsibility that I have to build relationships, even with those people who might be maybe people that don't like me. I think that's where the problem is.
You said that Paul said the church, these are the things that it's built on, the gifts of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, pardon me.
The gifts.
And would you say perhaps that's why I've been thinking about this for a while, you yearn for these miracles, for these supernatural manifestations or demonstrations of God's power within His people. But very clearly, like when I read this in the Bible, it takes a particular walk, a particular devotion, a very particular like communion and relationship with God.
Yeah, I don't think you earn those things.
Yeah.
You don't earn God using you with a specific gift. I don't think those are things that you earn. I think it'd be wrong to say because of how I'm doing this or how much I'm praying or whatever, I'm gonna be used by God. And it's not necessarily, because if that was the case, again, you have the Corinthian church with all its problems, but also experiencing a lot of the movement of the Spirit and gifts. But then one of the things that it is happening is that God's building that particular church. And there's a level of grace that's happening.
Now, but what about those examples? Like say, when like every day, like kneeling and devotion.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
Like in seeing, like we have a bunch of examples when we read of normal people.
Yeah.
But it's highlighted to me their walk, their particular calling, and how they go about,
Yeah.
and they're being used. I'm not saying they're earning it,
Yeah.
but they are in God's will, and God.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
not
came back.
Yeah.
I came back to it.
Where'd you go, Pastor?
No, I was a little confused because I forgot what I was answering the question to. So you shouldn't think that you need to earn those.
Yeah.
That's why they're gifts.
Yeah.
They come from the Spirit, and they're gifts. It's the Spirit's will. But I think what you're saying is correct in the sense that we need to be vessels of that. That's a difference. I'm not doing this to earn the right to be used by God in healing or prophecy or whatever, but I am preparing my life to be a vessel of glory for God. And if that's the case, then he's going to do these. He's going to do these things, him and him alone, because I'm available for it. Now, I think that's the difference.
Now, would it be that in a community to where that is, like, it's not just like, Lord, do this, this, and this. No, but Lord, like, reveal what you're doing.
Exactly.
And let us be part of this.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to where I think I was thinking about thinking. And is
in a roundabout way.
And
so in that culture, it should be like common for the Lord to
it's
move,
what it
right?
is.
And
What it's a simple principle and concept that is burned, but it's important and is relationship.
Mm.
That's what it is. It's you have a relationship with God and the Holy Spirit, a relationship, not something that you're doing to see if he can do something for you, but a relationship.
Not a transaction.
Not a
basically.
transaction. Yeah, it's a relationship. You love him because you love him, not because of I want him to give me that particular gift. No, I know his heart because I spend time with him, and when I come and get together with my brothers and sisters in this particular community of faith,
Yeah.
which I'm part of, and I know the Spirit is part of, then I am going to be sensible to what he wants to do in it, and I'll be more willing to participate in it. And if I'm willing to participate in it, then he is probably going to find in me a vessel he can use.
Yeah.
You can't separate one from the other. A lot of people want to do that. You separate the person of the Spirit, and you live the Spirit as if he was a vending machine. He's not a vending machine.
A genie.
He really, give me this gift or whatever. No, spend time in relationship and growing, like you said, growing in that relationship and being available. And because it's a gift, but even though it's a gift, we're being entrusted the administration of that gift.
And why should you have that gift if it's not for his will and his glory and his purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it's just to to all somebody.
Yeah, it's not a badge
what?
of honor.
Yeah,
It's just, we're useless servants. So it's just being able to let the Spirit find me for the need of the church at that moment. That's what it's about. So I hear people saying, I have this gift and I have this gift and this gift is mine. And I understand what they mean. I really do. And, if you disagree,
Sometimes you don't, or I don't.
explain yourself.
Yeah.
It's just people say I have this gift and that gift, right? Whatever gift it may be. And then you guys are saying, you see the lifestyle because it's so evident, and it just doesn't match.
It doesn't match, right?
Mm.
And then the things that come out of their mouths are
Santo.
what?
Or holy.
What happened?
What gift?
What?
What gift is that?
or to the point, right, of what a waste if that's how you're gonna
and can
use
we
it.
also talk about that? I don't know about you guys or at some point, but sometimes when people just mention the word I have this gift, sometimes it just leaves a sour taste. It's look,
Well,
I don't really want to hear it. Just being
Because
No,
usually
but-
the Spirit
But
glorifies
because
Christ.
Because
right?
what you're saying is true.
They're
Because
self-glorifying.
what that does, and you might disagree, but what that does is I'm in possession
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mine.
of
Yeah.
instead of him being in possession of
Yeah.
me. I'm in
Yeah.
possession of. It comes across as, hey, I got him and I can do. And it's very clear in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, it's very clear. As he pleases, as he wills, he gives.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I cannot possess if he's the one giving, because even when he gives, because you're talking about, well, if it's a gift, then it's something that he gives you and it stays with you, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it's mine and I have this gift. But that's if you're thinking about a Christmas present.
Yeah.
It's not a Christmas present. It's not a gift in the sense of how we see it. It's a gift in the sense of grace. Is this grace that I'm having towards you, that I'm making you a participant of what I'm doing, and because you have this receptibility, then I know I can work through you this particular thing. But that's not the only thing I could work through you. I could probably work through you something else. But what she says is true. You hear people say, I have.
Yeah. If you announce it, why you're announcing it? Just
I have. Just do it.
Yeah.
And and it might be bad theology. I'm not saying that some people are, with bad intention, although some people really do want you to know
Oh yeah.
that they have this gift.
That's the first thing out of the mouth.
and you have to bow down to that. But I think it's more like if you do exercise it and do it,
Yeah.
and your fruits will let us know how God is using you or how God's not using you. That's the idea. But we can't possess the Spirit. He needs to possess us in the sense that He'll do what I say.
You know what I find beautiful that I think that
We're talking about what's wrong with the church. Just in case you don't know.
I think it's beautiful that I would rejoice if, say, there was like I had all of a sudden this ability to do this. I want to believe that I would fully just rejoice in the fact that, like, hey, the Lord did this, but not because He used me to do this. No. I was in His will at that very moment. I was doing what He wanted me to do, and that alone is like, Lord, that you would use me or like, see me worthy of being part of what you're doing.
Yeah, what God
like that alone,
what God is doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that that you see me.
That's another part that's like not that specific, but just like another thing that's wrong with the church is just like we seek the manifestation or like this, like I have gifts, is that like, Lord, use me. Like the whole like I need to have and I need to exercise my calling. You know what I mean? Like that it's very common. But the whole like relationship aspect with the Lord, it's just like I don't need to worry about that. Like the whole more like my moral, I guess, character and where I stand and what I believe and what I do, like that doesn't matter as long as
God
I
used
use
me.
my calling and He is using me here and
Well,
now.
well, he's yeah.
I think you.
I
Could,
think that's powerful.
Yeah, I think you view it as like you said, like if for that one time that God used you, you feel like you arrived, right?
Yeah, and that
like I'm
covers
done.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like I'm
now
done.
this
Like I don't have to do
picture.
anymore because
Yeah.
God uses me now.
And then everybody
And
has
from here
to
on on, He's gonna keep on
and everybody
using
has
me.
to respect me.
Yeah, no matter what I do
because
now, God is using
I'm
me.
the anointed from the Lord, and
Again, it says in Luke, right? Don't rejoice in that the demons submit to you, but rejoice that your name is written.
Yeah.
And basically, like I see it, like my name, like me personally, and that alone is
you're
everything.
very intimate with what the Father wants.
Yeah.
Like you want to do that.
Yeah. What does it say? I just do what my father. I say what my father says.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do and say what I hear my Father.
Yeah. If you know me, you know the Father. Jesus says,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's very powerful. So I think I would be interesting to connect, Steph. What corresponds? How can I say it? If anybody wants to write this, I kind of did, but not the way I'm gonna say it. But what fruit of the Spirit corresponds to what gift? So that would be interesting to do.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
Because what I see in the church is but there's an emphasis on the gifts and how amazing and awesome they are. But character development through the fruit of the Spirit, which is something that He produces in us, is not being connected to that dynamic of gifts.
Yeah.
And what she said is true. I mean, I've seen it in my life. I'm not going to tell you anything that I'm making up, but I've seen that. I've seen people that tremendously being used by the Lord in a service, but outside of that service, even outside of the door when the service is over, a lot of those people who are being used, their lives are a mess, their decisions are a mess, their relationships are a mess. They don't know how to treat other people. They're not conducive of love and restoration and reconciliation, gossip and all these things. And it's okay because God used them. It's okay because they're being used by the Lord. So we should not judge, the way that they live and all this. And I think that's wrong. I think we need to connect the corresponding gift with the fruit. and see how they relate to one another and how they should go together. Because what we need to understand is that the more we submit to that kind of production of the fruit of the Spirit in us, the more responsible, appreciative, and humble we will be when we are given the opportunity to exercise a certain gift from the Spirit. You understand what I'm saying? You can't disconnect one from the other, but for some reason it seems like for a long time I've seen that there's this disconnect, and as long as you're the anointed of the Lord, then it's okay. It's, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge problem. It doesn't happen in every single church, but it's something that needs to be reconnected.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Anything else wrong with the church? Many other things are wrong with the church, but I think the solution to it starts with Spirit-filled people.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the church is not a social club. It's not something that a bunch of people who had a hobby in common got together and now we're the church. The church was inaugurated by the power of the Spirit of God. So the church itself, the way we fix it is people full of the Spirit. And I finish with this, Acts chapter something.
Every time.
1 through.
Acts chapter 1.
How many books? How many chapters?
It's like 28.
There's 28.
Wow.
Yeah, there are.
Hermana.
There are.
Adios.
Acts chapter
Man.
6. I needed to confirm it. Acts chapter 6. We're gonna finish with that. You have a problem in the church,
Mike.
a huge problem, and the problem in the
That's a
church.
good book, by the way. I think. Sorry to interrupt.
Go for
I
it.
think the book of Acts, and,
So-
and correct me if I'm wrong.
Phenomenal.
It's amazing.
You obviously know more.
Yeah, but you got to
But-
read it like 100 times to even start to grasp. Like,
No.
I
just
think so.
like read
Well, I'm
it.
just horrible.
No,
at
but
it.
wait,
I have to read it.
What
and
did you
read
say
it and
about-
read
Takes
it.
time for
It's
some
very
some of us.
like, how would you say it?
I don't know.
I think it describes a lot of like what a
The
church
day-to-day?
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Church.
Like a
Church
blueprint.
as in an individual and church as in a
Like a blueprint.
yeah,
But it's mesmerizing though, and like you'll
It's
get.
right?
it's definitely a paradigm for the church today. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we can. There's a lot of things that we cannot do.
Yeah.
And I'm referring, for example, to the fact that people sold their properties and they brought it to the disciples, and then some of the scholars, they believe that the reason why the church was in trouble, further along, as far as financially speaking, was because of that dynamic, and then they had to pick up an offering for the church in Jerusalem. But that's besides the point. The point is,
Interesting. Can I get those scholars?
which ones?
Like what you're talking about? I want to read that.
Yeah, I would have to go back to my research and send it to you. But I think it is interesting.
That very.
But then what was the solution to that? Paul went to the other churches, picked up an offering, brought it twice to the church in Jerusalem.
Wow.
And he says this, he says, hey, they giving you spiritual things. You think a material thing should be a big problem? No, it shouldn't. You should be thankful to be giving them something material because of the spiritual things that they've given you.
And that's what it means, right? Where he says, like, if you
It's-
get them little, then they get blessed.
And then Corinthians chapter 2, he says this. But I think it's a very huge principle that a lot of people don't want to hear. And it's the relationship between the spiritual and the material. And there is a relationship. There is. God cares. And Paul says that. Clearly says, they gave you guys spiritual things, so why should you not give them material things, specifically money? It shouldn't be a problem for you, right?
Maybe we should talk about that next podcast.
About Acts?
No, about
That,
that
what are you just
relationship,
talking about?
the-
The relationship between
Material and-
material and
All
spiritual.
Right, well, maybe
Spiritual.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Mhm.
maybe we will.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Can you
Um,
send the
The
scholar
scholar.
thing, and then we'll dig into it and have
Okay, I will do that. Yeah. So why was I in the book of Acts?
Well, because
Because
you're gonna read all.
you're gonna read,
chapters.
Oh,
Chapter.
okay. So what's wrong with the church is fixed with people full of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the key.
Yeah.
Okay. So Acts chapter 6. the big divide. You have Jewish people who speak Greek, Jewish people who speak Hebrew. They're not understanding each other. And there is something going on where there's some kind of there's no equality in the sense that the Greek speaking people feel that they're being put aside and that the focus is on the Hebrew speaking people. So there's a problem, there's a divide, and they complain about it. Hey, our widows, Greek speaking widows, they're not being tended like the Hebrews, Hebrew speaking widows. So there's a problem here. So what's the solution to this problem? Very simple solution. The apostles say, hey, we shouldn't be like meddling in this stuff. Like we're supposed to be preaching the word. This is like an administration thing. So why don't we do this? You need to pick 7 men, 7 people, and they give the qualifications. How do we solve this particular problem? By picking the right people, and they need to be like this. They need to be people that we know. They need to be people that are part of our community with good testimony, that everybody speaks good and well of them, not because they like them, but because they are solid on their testimony. And number 3, and that may not be the order, but number 3, they need to be full of the Spirit. And they pick 7 men. And you look at the name of these 7 men, they're Greek-speaking Jews, including Stephen and Philip. Now, we see Philip, and he's the evangelist, and he's doing all these things in Samaria and baptizing this eunuch who's going to Ethiopia. Where did he start? And then you see Stephen defending the faith before the Sanhedrin, before 70 elders and scholars. This little young man speaking truth to them and telling them, you hardening your hearts, you killed Jesus. And they get angry, and they kill him, the first martyr. What's my point? My point is that these 2 people, they started their, ministerial career by solving a very simple problem in church. Serving the tables.
Wow.
They had to be full of the Spirit to serve the tables, because it was more than just serving the tables. It was bringing the peace, the comfort, and the love, so that the widows, the Greek-speaking widows, they would feel like they matter, like they were loved, that they were being treated the same. So that's the solution to any problem in the church, is we need people filled with the Spirit who are willing to do what's necessary to solve that one problem, no matter how small or how insignificant. Because if it brings God's value and it removes an obstacle from listening to the word and being ministered by it, then you're going to be willing to do that. And that's how you solve it. We need ministers filled with the Spirit of God, not to make a show, but to love people and preach the truth. We need Spirit-filled youth ministers and kids ministers to do the same. Worship that is Spirit-filled people that lead that worship, because they're not going to just sing songs. They're going to love unto the people. That's the solution. So they chose the 7 people, the 7 men, Greek-speaking men, to solve that particular problem. A simple, maybe dumb problem, but an important problem that could only be solved by people full of the Spirit. Imagine if the opposite had been done, and they give this job to like whoever raised their hands, without the sensitivity of the Spirit, without the testimony, without all those things. So I think, if there's anything wrong with the church, that's how we fix it.
Yeah.
Pastor, do you think that it's become, maybe it's common for that to happen, though?
For what to happen?
Like, well, since we don't have many people to work with, we're going to work with what we have. And
Yeah, I think,
sometimes people end up
Yeah.
like inadequately doing something.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the solution to that is the same. Like if I am being asked, if I am being assigned, if I am going to do this, then I need to seek the fullness of the Spirit as I do my work. Because if I don't, I'll get bored. Whenever I get pushback, whenever people don't agree with me, I'm just going to, instead of solving it, I'm going to be part of the problem.
Yeah.
They sent me to fix this, but because I don't have the ability or the spiritual strength to do it, because I'm not seeking the Spirit, then I'm not going to do it. I'm going to bring more problems to the situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, okay, so you're the person I have. Well, I hope and I'm praying that you see it for yourself, take it upon yourself to seek the Spirit and be filled with it. Yeah. You know, that's what I think. Amen. So let us know what you think. Comment on the bottom, and that's it. Anything else? No?
That was fun.
That was fun. So we are very glad that you join us, and we hope that you join us. And thank you for the
our silent
guests.
Yeah, our guests.
They're working up the courage. They'll get there.
We'll put them on camera.
We'll put them on camera next time.
I think that's what we
They're
should do.
Swap my.
Oh, you're gonna switch places?
This one's gonna rotate.
Okay.
Oh, that one particularly.
Yeah, I know that one. You're asking for time off, or are you asking for time off?
That's funny.
Well,
Someone else needs to. We have a need of serving.
We want to thank Rosie and
Yeah.
Cindy for being here and
thank you
being off cameras and working everything, and we
Amen.
appreciate it. And
Spirit filled. They're doing it spirit filled.
They are. Yeah. the simple things. And if this has been a blessing to you, let us know. Subscribe, leave us your comment. Let us know if you're watching and where you're watching from. And as always, we ask you that you stay bright
and salty.
God bless you.